Years, you'll notice next time, trees planted under utility lines should grow to a maximum height of 25 feet. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen, especially during the wintertime, trees that look just scarred. They're grotesque looking kind of things because there are wires over them that when the trees were planted, the wires weren't there. But as the wires came in, the trees had to be completely changed, and as a result, they just get destroyed, and they're awful looking. Trees planted on narrow streets with narrow aprons, for example, on Bond and Emery, should have a narrow profile such as an Armstrong maple, if no overhead wires, or a Trident maple, if planted under wires. So what we've been trying to do while we're looking at trees and also trying to realize what we have to do there, we're making sure that anything that's going to be planted is the right tree in the right place. The trees that are on the east side of town have to be, because they're closer to the ocean, have to be really sand tolerant and wind tolerant as well. And our hope is that trees will require minimal maintenance, because if they're drought resistant and they're disease and pest resistant and require little pruning, we're not going to have to worry about sending people out to take care of them or to take them down or to replace them. Most trees in town have to be planted in the springtime, and what we've been doing with trees that we have planted, we have asked the people where the trees are planted, would you cooperate with us? We'll give you a water bag. And the water bag is for the purpose of the first couple of years of a new tree, and if there isn't at least an inch of water per week, we ask them to fill the water bag, which takes 20 gallons. And it slowly filters into the soil, and it keeps the tree going. So even when we had that horrific hot spell during last summer, with water bags, the trees were able to survive. So we're hoping that more people in town will cooperate with us on that. Next, please. Here's our, I guess this is the biggest issue for us. A new tree vendor is needed. We have been using Gasco for a long, long time. They have a lot of good plants and perennials and so forth, but they have a very meager amount of trees that we can actually use. It's usually ornamental trees, sort of landscaping trees, and we need to look at other places. So Gabriella and I have gone to several, as you can see there, Tidbury Creek Farms and Nursery, Ocean Wholesale Nursery, and they've all been very receptive. They're willing to work with us, they're willing to deliver here, no matter, they're all pretty far away from us. And even though the prices are more, the stock is better. It's an older stock, it's a stronger stock of tree, and we're sort of hopeful that we'll be able to continue to find them and work with them. Now, I know the city always needs quotes for whatever we're going to put out there. We can certainly get that from Tidbury as well as Ocean Wholesale. We've gotten that from Sunset Farm. So I think we have a pretty good idea, but each tree is usually between $175 and $225. Now that's a far cry from Gasco. So they're usually like 120 something, but they're just a year old. These trees are 2 and 3 years old, so they're better trees, they're stronger trees. Next, please.
Where's Tidbury and Ocean?
They're sort of in the Manalapan area, but not very far from Gasco, actually. There are a number of places out there.
And to increase our vendors, don't they fill our paperwork, essentially?
Yeah, I'll talk to them. We'll talk to them. I'll talk to one of our vendors. We'll work with trees you Joanne and purchasing.
Yeah, actually, I think both of them were already contacted us when we went back, when we were there talking with them.
We'll take care of it.
Just to let them know that we were interested in doing that. Okay. You'll notice the east side of town, Berg, Heg, Randbon, Bursteck, we did a whole survey of the town. Wait, before I get into that, I also want to thank Al and Anthony from the DPW. Al cleans our streets. And every time Al sees a tree that's not good, he calls me, and I call Anthony, and the tree gets taken down. You know, I tell you, the Shade Tree Commission could do practically nothing without the DPW. Amazing, amazing people who work there. So in any event, there are 18 small trees and 36 tall trees that have to be removed. West side of town, 7 small trees and 6 tall trees. Again, next please. So, 25 small trees and 42 tall trees, 67 trees. The budget would come to approximately $13,400. If we get 67 bags of compost at $350 each, it'll be about $234.50. The problem that we have with compost is that lots of people sell compost, but they also don't tell you that it's full of seeds. And so you put it all around your garden, you put it around your trees, and before you know it, you've got all these things coming out, which they're not supposed to, because they're not really good. They're not good products. So we have to be careful in terms of what we buy. Last year, we bought 2 pallets from Home Depot, and I rued the day. But there's more grass growing than anything else. So if anybody out there wants to buy from Home Depot, it's cheap, but it's crap. So 134 bags of mulch, $4.69, 67 watering bags, $11 each, and those are on the cheaper end of water bags, but they only last about 2 years, 3 years tops, and they're $737. So the whole budget is $14,840.50. It has nothing to do with anybody's work involved in getting these trees marked, getting them taken down, and so forth. That's just for the trees and for what they would need. And I think that's it. Oh, next steps, yes. So we need your council, city council approval and finance office approval and the city manager's approval, so that we can request quotes and so that we can present them to you. We also need your commitment and the DPW's commitment to remove all the stumps and to help us in digging the holes. Every tree we planted in the new memorial tree program, which is a different program, the DPW has always dug huge holes for us, which makes our planting much, much easier. If you've gone around town and you've seen trees that have been topped, but there's still stumps there, they all have to come out. And they're gonna have to, if we're gonna do this, they're gonna have to come out certainly before April, because that's the best time to start planting. Gabriella has already looked into Brookdale College and Monmouth University to seek environmental studies students so they can help us and volunteer. Coastal Resilience Volunteer, and which is a program that runs up all the way up to Sandy Hook. Thank you. And Lisa Sims, she is really the angel of Asbury Park. When we first started the Shade Tree Commission, we didn't have anything, and we didn't know which way to turn. And Lisa came in, and all the trees that were planted, hundreds of them, came because she helped us get them. And then, just so that you know, the Shade Tree Commission will conduct a street tree survey annually, because trees are living things, and like every living thing, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so we have to make sure we're on top of all of that. And I think that's it. There. Good. If you have any questions or comments or whatever, we'll be happy to entertain them.
Just want to thank you guys. I know it was like a tedious process and the amount of work you put into it, and I'm sure Donna will, follow up about, how to sort of move forward with this process.
We'll get the vendors as part of our vendor list, and then we'll put the appropriate funding in the budget, and we'll, with the blessing of the council, will be adopted and move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You gotta take another car ride, Tom.
Sorry?
You have to take a car ride down south.
With Garrett.
We're on to matters from the city council. Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. I also would like to say happy Black History Month. So, and also, next week is Valentine's Day. So have that Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Councilmember Clayton.
Good evening. I just want to remind everybody that, again, on this Saturday, February 11th, there will be a food giveaway at the senior center from the hours of 12 to 2, or when less meals are given out. And it is being catered by At the Table. Please come out and enjoy. Again, it's the senior center located at the corner of Springwood and Atkins, Supreme Court.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Quinn.
No.
Thank you. Mayor Moore. Thank you. Matters from the city manager.
I'm not used to any.
Matters from the city attorney.
Nothing for me as well.
Thanks. I will now move public participation. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second.
All in favor? Public participation portion of the meeting is now open. Any member of the public who wishes to speak, please use the microphone. State your name and address for the record. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Again, your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rita Miranda, 8th Avenue. I was just looking at the ordinance for the reverter clause. It's not, I mean, you don't understand what it's saying. Somebody got 20,000, the original owners, I guess. And how does, what happens here? Do we get money for reverting it back? That's one question. The other thing I wanted to say, I'm really upset about what I read today about the school. Now, I know you say you can't get involved, but I think you have to. There's too much going on with the school. And about the Abbott money. Do you know how many towns are getting, they still get the same amount of Abbott money? Jersey City, Hoboken, they all have redevelopment plans, but how come we get cut? You have to do something about that. We can't continue to have our taxes go up. That's one budget, and the other budget is yours, and I think there's one more. I mean, you have to do something about these things. You gotta get involved, and especially in the school. And especially that we're paying so much taxes on the school tax. It's not necessary. No, nothing's going on over there. I don't know if you can hold up the money this time. I think you should. You gotta do something dramatic. I mean, you don't do anything, you can't do anything about the redevelopment plan on the beach. You can't do anything about pilot programs. You can't do anything about tax abatements. What can you do? You don't do anything about the housing authority, and you only appoint people. You should have something to say in all these places. This can't go on. Now, you have to do something about school. Jersey City and Hoboken did not get cut with the Abbott money. How come we did? It's not fair. You gotta do something about this. It's serious. Because our taxes, especially the school tax, I don't know what you could do, but you gotta do something. You gotta make a statement. You gotta go to a school board meeting, which I think everybody should go. It's really upside down, and the kids are just suffering. If you read today's paper, I mean, what are you gonna do about it? I wanna know. I wanna know what the reverter clause is too. It's not clear.
Okay, the reverter clause, when we get to the ordinance, there will be an explanation for everybody, so we're not gonna do it twice. So when we get that ordinance, it will be explained. As far as the schools, I think we have reached out to our elected representatives, but after the schools is like, they passed this bill called S2, and it is a draconian cut to Asbury Park and other districts. And the joke of the whole thing is, that, you know, as much as we don't know the formula for Coca-Cola, as much as we don't know the formula for fried chicken, nobody in the state knows the formula for state aid to schools, and including Vinco Powers, the senator in charge of education. So again, the cuts that were made to Asbury Park School District and other school districts through the S2 bill were totally illogical and wrong. And we have to complain to our elected representatives about that. And you say, what has the council done? And you give us no credit. Well, I remember reading a couple of weeks ago where, because of our good fiscal responsibility, our bond rating increased to the highest it's ever been. So, I mean, you know, a lot of people want to, always myself sometimes too, throw stones and don't look at the good part. So I think we're doing a good job the last couple of years. The city was able to reduce taxes. You know, the things are catching up to us, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if we can reduce taxes this year. So I'm not going to fit to you, but I mean, you just can't stand there and say, you're right, we cannot do anything about laws that were passed before us. We cannot unilaterally overturn a redevelopment contract. We cannot unilaterally overturn, you know, pilots have to be given in the beach front. I mean, that's a written contract that we cannot overturn. So, you know, it's easy to say we haven't done anything, but I think you're completely wrong. And again, in the schools, if more people complaining to the elected representatives about the S2 bill, it would help us all as taxpayers and it would help the school district.
Oh, why don't you promote that? Nobody knew about it.
Read it. Okay, your time's up.
Okay.
I've said
Okay,
that for the
John.
past 4 years.
Linda Leahy, Fifth Avenue. I have a list. I want to know if they can move the scooters on by the bridge going into Monmouth. I think they're dangerous when cars are coming off the bridge and making a right there. So maybe they could place them somewhere else. And then Fifth Avenue, the fault line in front of Garberson's house. It's full of potholes, and they put a pedestrian crossing on Ridge and Fifth in the center of the street. When I came home one night, it was there, and then around 8:30 that night, I heard this loud crash. It sounded like it was an accident. So I took a walk out into the front, and I didn't see the sign. Well, my neighbor, one of my neighbors that lives on Locust, called me up, and she said she heard the crash too, and she had the whole thing on her camera, but she couldn't tell what kind of car it was. It was a smaller car, and I don't know what his car looked like after that, but something has to be done about those potholes. I think that the car was trying to avoid the potholes and it crashed into the sign. And I noticed today that the sign's back up. So I called the right side of Fifth, which is not paved, and I don't know if we're still number 8 on the list. I don't know if you know, but I wish they would put us at the top of the list. It's only half of the street. It can't be that hard. So, I don't know what else to say. There's so many people speeding on that street. We really need 4-way stop signs at each corner. It'll help to slow them down. So anyway, there's 2 signs that were put up for opposite side of the street, cleaning the street and parking on the other side of the street. We have 31 seconds. One of the signs is in front of my neighbor's house at 1207 Fifth. And she gets out of her car there, she'd like the sign moved. The other sign is in front of a couple of houses down, and it's right next to their driveway, so that they have to be careful that they don't bang into the sign, and that one should be moved too. So those are my requests. That's about it, I think.
Okay, well, James is adjourned. Okay, as far as the scooters, we'll have James Banana look at that. talk to these ladies. The signs, a lot of people don't like signs in front of their houses, but sometimes they're put there because they should be every, like, I'm gonna make up, every 100 feet apart, so we can't put like two next to each other, then the next block isn't covered, so one next to the driveway, I agree with you, but one in front of somebody's house, we probably have.
But they park in front of their house. She parks there in front of their house and it's in the way.
How's the sign stop them from parking? Okay, so.
And not only that, one more thing, I'll be fast. The signs say that you have to move your car to the other side of the street when the cleaner comes on Thursdays. Well, the street cleaner comes on Wednesday, it cleans that side of the street and my side of the street at the same time. I don't know why they put whatever they put on the signs, but the street cleaner doesn't pay attention to it.
Okay.
Oh.
So the city manager will look into it also, as far as Fifth, taking another half that the water company didn't do. You're getting close to the top of the list. It might have been on tonight's agenda. We have a couple of questions. I had questions about it. I want to make sure, like, you know, it's just going to be a mill and pave. Take out the bad, put in the new.
Yeah.
We want to look at the sewer lines to see how bad they are before we waste X amount of thousands of dollars to do that. So hopefully it'll be on 2 weeks from now agenda, and then it should be done in the spring. So Fifth,
Yeah.
half of Fifth, that was done by the water company, is moved way up to the top of the list.
Is this one?
No, you're done.
Could they fill in those potholes?
Yeah, so as far as the potholes, they have to do it when the weather's warm enough because they can't get a hot patch from the quarry. So
It's
we have to
chunks
wait.
of-
Yeah, they've been trying to fill this, they kind of, today's the next day, but when it goes down to 30 degrees, you can't do it. So it's a spring job, but we'll try to get some done before then if we can.
Well, we have had some nice days.
We have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Motion closed.
All in favor? Public participation is now closed. Thank you. We're on to the minutes. I have the executive meeting minutes and regular meeting minutes of January 25th, 2023. Do I have a motion? Move it. Second. Councilmember Liz Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn. Yes. Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on the consent agenda resolutions. All matters listed on the consent agenda are presented collectively to the city council and will be considered for approval with one vote. These matters are considered to be routine in nature, and there will be no individual discussion of these items. Discussion is desired by one or more council members as to any particular item, and said item should be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. On consent agenda, we have resolutions 2023-113 and 2023-115. Do you have a motion? Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn. Yes. Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on to individual resolutions. Resolution 2023-116, a resolution approving payment of bills.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn. Yes. Mayor Moore.
No.
Resolution 2023-117, a resolution authorizing the transfer of appropriation reserves in the fiscal year 2022 budget.
Move it. Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn. Yes. Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-118, a resolution authorizing the purchase of heat air handlers at the wastewater treatment plant.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-119, a resolution authorizing the purchase of the email archive fund.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-120, a resolution authorizing the replacement of the cool chiller in the municipal building.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-121, a resolution authorizing an annual HVAC preventative maintenance agreement with air system maintenance.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-122, a resolution authorizing an influent PS backup bypass pump system rental needed at the wastewater treatment plant.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
No.
Resolution 2023-123, resolution authorizing the annual renewal of Adobe.
Move it.
Second. Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-125, resolution awarding bid for printing services.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-126, resolution awarding of a contract to the Ambient Group LLC for the wastewater treatment plant underground storage tank removal.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-127, resolution awarding contract to Vortex Aquatic Structures International Inc. for the purchase and installation of equipment for the water spray park with community development block grant funding.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-128, resolution authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement with the County of Monmouth for dispatch services.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-129, resolution for permission to apply for the fiscal year 2022 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, AFG grant.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-130, resolution establishing regulations for the 2023 beach season.
Move it. Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
No.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-131, resolution to ratify the International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers, IFPTE union contract.
Move it.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on ordinances for introduction. Ordinance 2023-7, ordinance of the City of Asbury Park authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 202-204 7th Avenue Urban Renewal LLC concerning property located at Block 4201, Lot 4.01, formerly lots 3 and 4, on the tax map of the City of Asbury Park, and granting tax exemption to the public hearing date of February 22nd, 2023.
Move it.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Abstain.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on to ordinance 2023-8, ordinance of the City of Asbury Park and the County of Monmouth, the State of New Jersey, providing for the special assessment of certain wastewater, stormwater, streetscape, utility, and other infrastructure improvements on Block 4201, Lot 4.01, formerly lots 3 and 4, Rhythm, Asbury Park, within the Asbury Park waterfront redevelopment area, and establishing a mechanism for payment of the cost thereof, with a public hearing date of February 22nd, 2023.
Move it.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-9, ordinance of the City of Asbury Park amending and supplementing section 10 entitled Special Duty Assignments of Article 5, Departments and Divisions of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of the City of Asbury Park, with a public hearing date of February 22nd, 2023.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on to public hearing, second reading of ordinances. Ordinance 2023-6, an ordinance to extinguish the reverter in deed for the property commonly known as 900-901 Madison Avenue, Asbury Park, New Jersey, Block 603, Lot 3, aka Block 66, Lot 13. Maybe we have a brief overview, Fred, of this ordinance before the meeting to the public?
Yes. 1 second. Read it.
This is the ordinance.
Yes,
This is the explanation of the.
I know.
Okay, so believe me, I gotta hear it myself also.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
All right, can I sit down?
Yeah.
Okay, so this issue came about in connection with the proposed development of a site located at the corners of Bangs Avenue, Memorial Drive, and Madison. There are seven separate individual lots, and not only consolidated, but 7 individual lots that comprise that proposed development site. One of the lots, actually 3 of the lots, at some point in time in the past, were owned by the city of Asbury Park. One of them is the subject of the public hearing tonight. The property has a street address of, well, the ordinance references at 900-901 Madison. It also references 928 Bangs Avenue. The current block and lot is block 603, lot 3. The title work shows that the city acquired title to this one parcel back in 1982. And it said that it was acquired by the city pursuant to a final decree, and it gives a docket number, and I'm presuming that it was an in-rem foreclosure. And that was in 1982. In 1989, the city transferred title out to Jacob and Elka Elstein for the sum of $20,000. In the deed, there was a reference to, it says, subject to covenants, conditions, and restrictions, including but not limited to the right of re-entry and reverter contained in the resolution for the sale of city-owned property authorizing the sale. It doesn't say specifically what would trigger the city's right to re-enter. It just references as contained in the resolution. Unfortunately, neither the County of Monmouth Clerk's Office nor the City of Asbury Park Clerk's Office has a copy of this resolution. So we don't know what the triggering mechanism would be under which the city would be entitled to assert its right of re-entry and to reacquire that property. So fast forward from when the city transferred title out in 1989 to today. The developer who's looking to develop the project, given that this is one of the 7 individual properties, the title companies picked it up as an encumbrance in title. And the developer has requested that the city consider releasing that right of re-entry, since no one can understand why it was put in there. The records of the city, Steve Kay, the former city clerk, used to keep minute books, and the minute books don't show the resolution, and it doesn't, the resolution wasn't attached to the,
Nothing about
there's
that
nothing
surprise
that
and
shows what could have, and it also could have been that language was mistakenly put in this deed, because of the 7 individual lots, there were another 2 that were owned by the city of Asbury Park. They were not conveyed at the same time as this one in 1989, one was conveyed in 1996, one was conveyed in 1999, out to third parties. Neither one of them contained the right of re-entry. So we don't know, it's puzzling why the city would have put that in there. It's inexplicable. But the developer has asked that it be relinquished so that it's no longer a cloud on the title. And that is what has been, Development Council, or Redevelopment Council for the city has prepared the documents that are all part of your package that contingent upon your approval this evening. It would allow the city then to relinquish that right of re-entry. It would be recorded with the city. It would no longer be encumbrance on the title to the property. And then the relinquishment would be recorded with the county clerk's office, and it would be finished. And that's what's before you.
So Fred, was that lot actually sold to someone and we're taking it back? Or?
Well, it's been sold a couple of times. Since the city sold it in 1989, it was then sold by the Elsteins to another purchaser, Barragallo, and then it's now entitled to Asbury Memorial Parkway LLC. And Asbury Memorial Parkway LLC has title to all 7 of these lots that are part of that proposed project.
Do they have a clear title?
So that's the background.
What?
So Asbury Memorial LLC is asking us to help them.
Correct.
We're paying all the bills for this, they set up the escrow account?
It's my understanding they do have an escrow account.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
I specifically asked Michelle, because, you know, there's some time that was associated with reviewing all this, if I should be billing it to an escrow, and she told me no.
Okay. Is that what we need?
Motion to open the meeting to the public hearing, motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2023-6. Move it.
Second. Okay.
All in favor? Thank you. Public hearing on ordinance 2023-6 is now open. Any member of the public who wishes to make a comment on ordinance 2023-6, please use the microphone. State your name and address for the record. Your comments may be on ordinance 2023-6 only.
Really, nothing. I don't blame
I'm
you.
not gonna win.
I was hoping you would say, let's take a 10-minute break, I have those minutes at home, because I'm sure you can find me on my. So I was hoping you could help us with this, because, again, there's no records of anything, so.
Well, you know I don't approve, so.
No, as long as LLC's paying for all this, I have no problem. So, see nobody wants to speak, motion to close?
Second.
All in favor? Public hearing on ordinance 2023-6 is now closed. Motion to adopt 2023-6.
Move it. Second.
Councilmember Bez Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on to adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.